carpentry, finished wood. Wood that has a good surface on it that you just may want to protect. It seems like it's going to be good for that, but it's not going to be any good for what I need it to do. So anyway, I have it. I know what it does now. It does seal the wood, and it does, if that, you know what? I wiped the brush off over here real quick. Nah, you really can't tell on that either. I'm going to have to play with it a little bit more just to see what it is capable of doing. So, but for now, I wouldn't recommend it for doing anything like that you would really need an epoxy for. Alright, I am going to have my coffee, and I got a piece of a bagel sitting over here. I've been picking at it all morning. The coffee cup came from the house today, so I didn't even make my coffee out here today. I got to run power to this thing. I have to run the data cable to this thing, and then I'm actually thinking of painting the front of the house. I'm just waiting for the sun to get off it, because I don't want to be sitting out there in the sun and baking and having it glare in my face when I'm trying to look up and paint the trim. So, alright, I'll be back. I'm kind of curious now as to what this actually is going to do, because John wouldn't have mentioned it to me if he didn't think it was a good product. I mean, I've known him for too long, and he's a straight going guy, and it's not like he was going to see any profit on it. So, and even if he was, he wouldn't sell it to me unless it was something he thought that I can use. So, what I'm going to do is I got 3 different types of wood over here. Well, this and that are both pine, but I'm going to have some of them I'm going to sand real quick, partially, and then I'm not, and then we'll see how it actually takes to these 3 different pieces, sanded and not sanded. So let me go. I didn't know if you noticed it or not, but I was getting a lot of dust. Well, that dust actually collects underneath, and that's what I use sometimes if I want to mix it with some wood glue to get a nice fine glue. If I got to fill something. The chips, yeah, the sawdust itself I use a lot. I got boxes of it. Well, not boxes, but I got a box full of it down there. But I also keep the dust here, and it's also collected in there. I keep it up in that container because if I need a fine filler or wood glue, that works great. Alright, so meanwhile, let me see. Let me put you up here. Let me move this out of the way. You really don't need to mix this stuff. And sometimes your polyurethanes, you don't want to shake them up anyway because you get air bubbles. And the air bubbles could give you a hard time. They could be a real pain in the rectum. Okay, so what I have here is right here it's sanded. Can you see what I'm doing here? Yeah, okay. And it's only sanded in like a circular, like an egg shape here. So let's put some of this on here just to see how it's going to work. And I know it's going to soak right into this because it's dry. But we'll see what it needs as far as coats and what it gives us between the coats. Because this is not cheap, so it's something you don't really want to buy to experiment with under normal conditions. I got a deal on it, naturally, so, well, not naturally, but, so I didn't mind too much, and it's a strong possibility that I may have a use for it. So that's that right now. This circular area, I don't know if you can notice it or not, but that's been sanded. The rest of this is just raw wood. Now on this one, where did I do it? Right there. Okay, so this is the sanded part to about here. So we're going to put some of this on that. And then we're going to come up a little bit more just to get it all covered, so we can see how much we're actually going to. Sorry about that noise. You guys will be used to it like I am by the time I'm done. Alright, so here what I did was this part right here, from here down, has been sanded on the sander. The rest of this is just a raw cut. So we're going to see how many times we got to go over this in order for it to actually bite and give us some type of a finish that we're looking for. And we'll look at it between each finish, because some people may just want it to be like it is, you know, and just let it soak in, because it will soak in. And when it soaks in, it's going to protect it. So, I mean, it does have a reasoning or a purpose. So that's where we're at. Now this one is sanded in the middle only. The two ends are not sanded. So we're going to leave that like that. I'll go rinse out the brush. Put the top on this. Just in case I get sidetracked and I forget, I don't want that open getting hard. And that's the only reason why I'm going to rinse out the brush. Alright, sorry for all the noise, but meanwhile, you believe this? This has been going nuts all day. You know why? It's heat, the heat. And it's starting to bother everybody with the breathing. So, okay. Anyway, so we have the three of them here. Sanded and non-sanded, first coat, and we'll see what happens. So let me shut you guys off so you don't have to watch nothing and listen to garbage. I'm going to finish my coffee, and I'm actually going to think about doing the finish coat, because I don't feel like doing the primer today. I got to get going, you know, I got to get motivated. So I'm going to do the finish coat on the, or think about doing the finish coat on the front of the house. So the front of the house is completely done. And I'll see what happens, and I'll show you what I did if I did anything. If not, I'll be sitting here. So let's do one more. This is 2 coats, just to give us an idea. And it doesn't look like, even though this says gloss, there's a semi-gloss as well. But this is the gloss. But even though it says gloss, it doesn't look like much of a gloss. Now that's 2 coats. So the first coat, we can assume that it's sucked in. But the second coat should have started giving us something. And it doesn't appear to have done that. So this stuff maybe a good preservative, maybe, even though it's latex, I don't know. It seems to give a low luster. It doesn't seem, and I'm not laying it on thin. I'm going pretty heavy here. As you can tell, I turn the camera on, it starts going off. I mean, I'm not really brushing it out. I mean, I'm dipping and brushing, but. Engine
1, engine 5, truck 1, car 6. 4 Pin Oak Drive, Plato Associates.
4 Pin Oak. That's where I used to have my shop, my sign shop. For Pin Oak. Let me go clean this brush.
Roger, car 6. Roger, engine 1.
So that's where we're at. So we will see what it does. That's 3 coats. We'll take it one step at a time. Like I say, it may be a good preservative. It may not. It may give a gloss. It may not. So far, just by looking at it for what I'm looking to do with it, it doesn't impress me. But we'll see how that dries now after the 3rd coat.